All right. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. This is Florian from StorageCraft. Thank you very much for joining today's webcast, which is about Office 365 and Google G Suite and why it is super important to actually back up the data and then more importantly, be able to restore. And actually, we have a very important, very good guest speaker today who is joining us, Jamie Hissett from RIT, where Jamie is a technical consultant for quite some time there. So good morning, Jamie. How are you?
I'm not too bad, Flo. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you very much. So people on the line, Jamie has actually been working in the IT industry for quite some time now, and RIT, being one of the leading MSP managed service provider in the UK, is obviously protecting their customers' 365 data. And I thought it would be really, really useful for you guys on the line, whether you are in MSP or whether you are, in charge of your IT infrastructure and IT data as an end user customer. Because Jamie, whether he's an MSP or an end user, doesn't really matter. He has to protect 365 data, whether it's RIT or their own customer. So having, I guess, the point of view from someone who is hands-on would add, again, more value to today's webcast. So I hope you will enjoy. I think the content is really good. And then, obviously, Jamie will be, giving some input later on in the presentation for, about 10 minutes. By all means, while Jamie is obviously online, feel free to ask any questions, and we'll do our best to answer those questions during this webcast, or if we don't have the time, we'll go back to you and your questions, because actually I know who is asking questions. So without any further ado, let's rock and roll. And again, thanks very much for attending the webcast today. So when it comes down to obviously software as a service, there's a lot of organizations deploying, whether it's 365, Box, SFDC, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to name it. However, it's true to say that many organizations, are embracing this kind of approach because it's probably easier, more cost-effective to deploy and maintain and manage. However, on the cost-effectiveness, maybe I should be careful because I know it's not always that cost-effective. However, depending on the way you operate, the business operates, that is obviously could be a good solution to move forward for your business. And when we look at some market statistics, obviously Office Suite is one of the growing fastest segment when it comes down to SaaS. So, the word 365 and G Suite and others. So that means, again, especially around Office 365, since it's today's kind of focus, a lot of organizations, whether small, medium, or large, are considering to make the move if they haven't not made the move yet. So that's obviously very important to know that, if you are embracing 365, great, but obviously from a data protection and a data resilience standpoint, you are still responsible for your data. Yeah, don't rely on Microsoft doing all the job. They do a lot, but they don't do it all, especially when it comes down to a data resilience standpoint. And why you really need to consider backing up the data and then be able to restore is because the cloud providers or the SaaS providers, shall I say, whether it's Microsoft or others, they have built-in or limited built-in protection capabilities. And when it comes down to restoring the data, well, things does not always work the way they should be, and they have their own SLAs as well. So, SaaS applications are obviously very a good way forward, but they're not the panacea. There's things you must be doing from a data resilient data protection standpoint to make sure that if that service becomes unavailable, that you're not stuck, basically. So data is at risk, unfortunately, and if you look at things like, someone deleting the data, so the human factor is one of the key. Actually, we conducted a survey, and then, when it comes down to disaster and disaster recovery, one of the main causes is actually people, human factors. So whether, you can think of any type of example, but, someone, you're working on the file, you're deleting it, and sorry, you're not deleting it, you're changing things, and rather than that you didn't want to do, and rather than pressing cancel, then you press save, because we used to save things, and then bang, you cannot recover, you cannot go back to the previous version of the file. And if you ask Microsoft, they might tell you that they won't be able to help you too much. Whereas if you see, you did have a backup solution, then you could retrieve the previous version of that document. So obviously hackers, I mean, we already spent quite a lot of time with, ransomware, and how to best protect or not best protect your business, because that's where you use your next generation firewall, your endpoint security, and so on and so forth. But should bad things happen, then obviously StorageCraft has multiple solutions to recover the data. And then obviously with 365, if you were doing backup again, you could always retrieve the file prior to the infection. So there's obviously a great benefit of backing up your 365 or G Suite data, obviously. And, the employees who leave, that happens very often. And then for whatever reason, it could be for business reason, compliance reason, you would need to retrieve her file or her emails or his emails or whatever it might be within Office 365. However, as you probably know, Microsoft will keep their file for 30 days and then they are being deleted. It's not Florian saying, this is not Jamie saying, it's actually in the Microsoft 365 license agreement or service agreement. Yeah. So be aware that after, let's say, we as StorageCraft are using 365, should an employee of StorageCraft decided to leave, their data, if it's not backed up, will be deleted after 30 days. Yeah. So it's good to be aware of that. And I'm sure you are, but some of you might not be. And hopefully this is helpful. Obviously, some employees can go rogue for whatever reason, whether they've been let go and they're not happy or something happens, what have you, and they decide to delete a whole data set. Again, what do you do if that happens, if you don't back up? You can call Microsoft, they tell you there's no guarantee they could recover most of the files. Yeah. So again, that's super important, and we know this can happen. And actually, a rogue employee could actually not be a rogue employee, could be a hacker through a Trojan horse. They have access to the access as if they were an employee or a system administrator, and all of a sudden, they start deleting data. We know it happens, unfortunately. So that's why it's very important to back up and be able to restore your SaaS application data. In that case, 365 or Suite. And then we come across this type of scenario sometimes where the user or the employees would deploy any kind of third-party application or software for probably personal use case. And then sometimes, what we see happening is, these application or software do delete some data. And again, that can happen. And if you are well covered, if you do the backup, then, you can recover the data, whatever it might be within 365. And this is happening. And then again, this is, these are some examples, and I'm sure there might be some other, scenarios where, data has been deleted and where, the organization were not able to recover because they were not backing up 365 data or G Suite, and they were relying on Google and Microsoft to do the recovery. Yeah. And unfortunately, this happens as well. Bad things can happen to the best too. So earlier on this year, I think it was around February, March 2019, when Microsoft 365 services were down. So again, if there was no backup done, then, the users could not access the data within 365. So again, you see me coming, it's like, well, obviously, if you do a backup, then you could, IT could have recovered and make the data or the offline or the backup data available to the users. At least they could conduct some work. Whereas here in that scenario, that was not the case. Well, Microsoft services are down, and we know it can happen. Therefore, in that scenario, no one could access the 365 services. And that probably doesn't happen very often, but when it does leave a lot of people in a bad, or organization, shall I say, in a bad situation. So with backup, you could have restored the data, made the data available 24/7, even though the Microsoft 365 services were down. Yeah. So another couple of things about 365, and then by all means, this is not a 365 bashing. This is a great, SaaS application. Nothing wrong with that. Obviously, Microsoft does a great job making the data available 24/7, or the infrastructure available 24/7. Sometimes they do face issues like we've seen, but it doesn't happen very often. However, there's still a couple of things that you need to be aware. As I said, Microsoft provides great availability. They provide infrastructure. However, it is your data. Microsoft will not be the owner of the data. It's yourself. So you use the infrastructure, you use the software, but at the end of the day, it's your business data, and you have to protect it the same way you would protect on-premise data. And that's super important to understand. And as I said earlier on, they have some data retention policies of 30 days. So if you disable an account, the data within that account will stay for 30 days. And after 30 days, it's being deleted. So obviously, we have customers and partners, or obviously, if they protect the customer's data, if you're an MSP, then it's super important to be backed up. But we have customers, like we will see in a few slides, where, for compliance reasons, they need to demonstrate that all of their data, whether in the cloud or on-premise, are being backed up and archived, and they can actually restore this data in case of an incident. Yeah? So putting data in 365 doesn't tick the box of compliance if you don't back it up. As simple as that. And then recovering files can be a bit of a slow process. It could be a bit cumbersome. And again, Microsoft doesn't guarantee 100% recovery. So that's something to be well aware. This is something to be well aware of. Sorry. So yeah, I mean, obviously, as I said, this is not, about not saying that 365 is not really good. Just saying, hey, you really need to make sure, you do the backup and you are able to restore the data should you need to. Yeah. And obviously, some organizations do decide to decommission 365 and to bring everything back on premise or to use another SaaS provider. And then in that scenario, you have 90 days. After 90 days, all of your data will be deleted by Microsoft. Yeah. So if for whatever reason you decided to move away from 365, fair enough. But again, make sure you do back it up, because otherwise, after 90 days, roughly 3 months, the data is gone. And you cannot retrieve it, you cannot restore it, it's been deleted. Yeah. So just, again, something to take into consideration. And all of this is actually well detailed and well explained in the Microsoft Service Agreement. Talking of the Microsoft Service Agreement, this is a screenshot from their website. I do apologize, the screen is a bit, actually, it's quite small, but I'm going to read what they say here, and then you can go back at your own convenience. We strive to keep, so this is from Microsoft, we strive to keep the services up and running. However, all online services suffer occasional disruption and outage, as we saw back in March or February. And Microsoft is not liable for any disruption or loss you may suffer as a result. In the event of an outage, you may not be able to retrieve your content or data that you've stored. We recommend, so when you say we, Microsoft, we recommend that you regularly back up your content and data that you store on the services or store using third-party application and services. So this is not from Florian, this is not from StorageCraft, this is from Microsoft. So Microsoft themselves do recommend the 365 users to back things up, because they are not responsible for your data. Yeah. So great. So we know it's a lot of benefits about 365. We know that obviously one of the must do and not nice to do is doing the backup. So obviously this being a StorageCraft, presentation and webcast, let's take a quick look at, the StorageCraft 365 backup solution. It's very straightforward. It's very simple. We can obviously back up, as of today, 365 data in G Suite. We, as a vendor, are looking at other SaaS applications. It's on the roadmap for this year. I cannot give you names, because then you're going to hold me accountable for it. However, think about some large kind of, CRM system that are deployed in many organizations, and some other type of SaaS data depository applications. We're looking into backing those up as well. But as of today, the 11th of December, or the 12th of December rather, it's 365 and G Suite. So when it comes down to 365, we protect Exchange, calendars, contacts, OneDrive for Business, SharePoint, public share folders, and we added Teams data last year. When it comes down to G Suite, Gmail, Google Drive, district public share folders, and calendars and contacts. Obviously, from what we see as a vendor and what we see from our partners and end user customers, I'm not dismissing Google at all, but it's true to say that, 365, and I didn't check the market shares in terms of deployment, but a lot of organizations are using 365, and we do come across from time to time G Suite. So obviously, if someone on the line is using G Suite today, that's all good, because what we do for 365, we do it for G Suite and vice versa. We can back up the data from both SaaS providers. Okay? And obviously, guys, if you are interested in a more technical demonstration, and we did that actually a couple of months ago in Brightober, we're very happy to obviously organize a one-to-one or one-to-many webcast with a technical demo, and we can obviously provide you with a demo account so you can play with our product yourself because it's agentless. Everything is done through a portal. There isn't any agent that you have to deploy. So we do 3 backup a day, every 3 hours. So that means obviously we're making sure that your data is secure. In terms of the data storage destination, you have the choice between StorageCraft, and we use AWS, and our data center is in Ireland to process all the services. Or if you have an account with Microsoft Azure, then you can use that as your backup destination. We're looking at, from time to time, we come across requests where where customers or partners would like to do to use a local NAS or local on-premise, so to say, destination for the storage. That's a roadmap item. Yeah, but again, as of today, you can use AWS through StorageCraft or your own Azure account. Okay. If you are going to use AWS, so using the StorageCraft AWS account, it's very important to understand that we offer unlimited storage as well as unlimited retention. Some of our competitors offer that, but then, if you want longer period of retention or more storage, you'll have to pay more. Whereas from a licensing point of view, it's a flat fee with StorageCraft per month. Yeah, it's a subscription model per month per user. And if you guys are using our own infrastructure, then we offer unlimited retention, unlimited storage. And it's a self-service portal, so whether you're an MSP or a partner on the line, or if you're an end user, you basically manage your 365 backups through our portal. Yeah, so it's very, well, from what I hear, what I see, it's super simple. And then maybe Jamie can comment on that a bit later on. Yeah. And again, if you remember one thing about obviously the cloud backup solution from StorageCraft, yes, we can do all the backups of what I said, but unlimited retention and unlimited storage if you're using our own infrastructure. Some of you might be sitting in countries where data sovereignty is a big requirement. So what we can do on demand, on the one-to-one basis, is let's say you might be somewhere in, in the UAE or Saudi or France or whatever, or Spain, and for whatever reason the data has to reside in your country, then let us know, because then what we could do is open an AWS account, obviously a StorageCraft in that specific country, and then store your data there. Yeah. We would obviously just be aware in that scenario, our services are based in Ireland. So the metadata for indexing reasons will have to be in Ireland too. But the data themselves will reside in your own country if that's something we were going to do for you. And so if we look at some of the benefits, obviously nothing super new here. It's all about, making sure it's secure and available 24/7, even though obviously there's an outage of service from Microsoft, and it's the storage, everything, the data is actually encrypted. So either in your own Azure or in our or in the StorageCraft, AWS account. Super easy to monitor and manage. You can manage different accounts. Obviously, if you're an MSP, you will have different accounts because you are managing 365 seats from different various customers. Obviously, if you are an end user on the line, well, you can manage obviously your users, but some organizations, IT is a shared service, and IT might be obviously securing the data and providing IT services to multiple division or separate legal entity within that organization. You can do it as well, because obviously, there might be, the policies might be different, whether it's business number 1, business number 2, business number 3, and business number 4, and so on and so forth. Yeah, obviously from a search point of view, that's actually very important, because if you are managing, hundreds or thousands of seats, looking for a specific, email from a specific user, search has to be super quick. And that's something that StorageCraft does offer as part of the solution. And obviously the recovery, in seconds, whatever it might be, but it's very fast, because obviously it's all about minimizing the downtime, making sure that that specific file, whether it's in SharePoint, whether it's in a specific email from a specific user. It's all about making sure that we can recover that specific data, that specific file, as soon as possible. And again, very important, we do that in the native format, in the native location, so that the user is very familiar with whatever you've been able to not been able obviously, but that you would have recovered for him or for her. Yeah, and the reporting. Obviously, again, I'm not going to spend too much time on reporting. That's something you can see for yourself. Actually, there is a video. I've uploaded a video in the attachment where there's about 2 minutes demonstration on how to recover a specific file. Yeah, and again, if you wanted to obviously play with that solution yourself, let me know, and we'll set up a demo account. So now, and again, kind of going through reiterating the point as of what you need to back up and be able to restore your 365 data above and beyond what Microsoft says. While you can obviously recover data that's been overwritten, deleted, or any other problems. Again, the ability to recover a set of data after a virus or potential ransomware infection that happens. Obviously, transferring data ownership. Someone has left. You need to transfer that data from employee number 1 to employee 2 and 3. That's one way of doing it. Very important. Should Microsoft services be down, you are still able to access the data within Microsoft 365 or G Suite. Sometimes, for whatever reason, you need your compliance auditors needs to run some investigation or what have you. So that obviously helps for that scenario and tick the compliance box. As we saw before, yeah, because you can demonstrate that your data is archived, and that actually you can recover your 365 or G Suite data on demand. Yeah. So and then the licensing again, it's we don't do so 365 with StorageCraft is not a kind of a perpetual licensing software model. So first of all, it's an online service, so to say, and the licensing is super easy. It's per seat, per user, as simple as that. And as I said before, should you be using, the StorageCraft data center to store your data, then we offer unlimited retention and unlimited storage. As well, just for you to know, guys, and ladies on the line, you get actually a full month free of charge. Yeah. So it's a 12-month commitment. Usually, obviously, you can, as your users, goes and comes and whatever, obviously you can add users and deprovision users as you want. It's all through the self-service portal, or some of end users will rely on their managed service providers, MSP, to do it for them. So depending on the agreement that you have with your MSP, then either you can do it yourself, or you can ask your service provider to do it for yourself. And in that example, you could see, we are serving multiple type of customers. And again, if you're an MSP, and if you're an end user, that could be just one cloud. It's your business. But some of you might be obviously offering IT services to multiple divisions within the business, or multiple different type of legal entity within the business. So you can do that as well. Yeah. And how to do it? Super simple. If you're a partner, you go to the partner port, to the StorageCraft partner portal, select Cloud Backup, create your account user, and off you go, start provisioning the services to the users. And if you are an end user on the line, so an end user customer, or an end user organization, obviously we don't sell direct, so you'll have to obviously create an account through a StorageCraft partner, and then they will create an account for yourself, and then they will provide you with a URL credential. We do support multi-factor authentication too, and then off you go. You can add accounts, remove seats, and so on and so forth. Or, as I said, you could always ask your partner to do it for you. Okay? So again, from that point of view, super easy, super straightforward, and there's no bad surprises. You would only get invoiced what you consume. So if the course of a month or a quarter, you have added users, that's going to be on the bill. But if you reduce the number of seats, then the bill will be a bit less. Okay? So you might say, Florian, sounds all good. Obviously, you wear a nice StorageCraft shirt and so on and so forth. You're going to say that your product is fantastic. Yes, it is, of course. No, it is a good product indeed. And rather than me kind of, telling you how good or beautiful it is, I'm going to go through just one case study, and then I'm going to be handing over to Jamie, who can go through their deployments. And obviously, Jamie will give you his input in terms of, why it's super important to back up and be able to restore 365 data. So it's going to probably repeat some of the stuff I already said, but I think it's really important for you to hear it from someone from the ground, so to say. So we have a customer in Ireland. It's called Qualification and QQI, Quality Qualification Ireland. So they started, their services in 2012. They have about 90 employees. However, they do serve about 4,000, customers through the services. And what is very interesting with them is actually they took the approach of everything has to be in the cloud, including, the serverless approach. So basically no appliances, no servers, no switches on site. Everything has to be in the cloud. And obviously, for their emails and files and folders and so on and so forth, they are using Microsoft 365. And they realized very quickly, obviously, they had to back it up. And they were using an incumbent vendor. You can see who that is on the screen, and this is not a competitor bashing. But based on their requirements, the incumbent vendor was not meeting their requirements. So they kind of went to the market, evaluated other 365 backup vendors, including obviously StorageCraft, and they tested the product as well as some of, I think another competitor. I know the name very well, but again, it's not about, saying whether competition is good or bad. The point is, these are the reasons why they had to back up the data, first of all. So if you look at one of your colleagues, Luke Johnson, who is the ICT there, was well aware of the Microsoft 90-day recycle bin retention period. So for compliance point of view, backing up 365 data was a no-brainer, and he had to do it anyway from a compliance standpoint. Yeah, but I would say more importantly, don't do it because of compliance. Do it because you have to, because otherwise the data might get deleted after 30 days or 90 days. And then one of his colleagues, William Cutterberg here, who is the system architect there, actually, when we did the case study, and the case study is available actually as an attachment. One of the things I wanted to highlight to you guys is, that when you recover the data, the 365 data or Google, with StorageCraft, you retain the structure of the folder hierarchy. And for the user, that's super, super important, because then you would be saving time and reducing inconvenience for that user. Yeah? Users say, lose some files or whatever it might be, their emails, you can recover to the previous hierarchy. So for the user, it's almost like nothing did happen. Yeah. And then William actually was quite talkative when we did the case study. But another thing I wanted to bring your attention was about the pricing structure. As I said, there's different vendors obviously offering backup and recovery for 365. One of the benefits of StorageCraft is it's a flat fee. Obviously, whether using AWS or your own Azure account, the monthly billing is different. If you use your own account, we're not going to charge you for storage because you already pay Microsoft. So to benefit from the service, things will be compared to using our storage, it will obviously be cheaper. Yeah. So the price per month per seat is cheaper if you're using Azure than you're using AWS. However, be aware. Again, I'm going to repeat because sometimes people don't listen. No, I'm joking. Use AWS. We offer unlimited retention, unlimited storage for the same price. Yeah? And depending on the volumes that either you as an MSP or you as an end user are adding to our cloud services, from 50 seats and above, we offer a very attractive pricing. And if you want to know more, then I'll let you contact a StorageCraft partner. Yeah? So that's QQI for you guys. I've been about 30 minutes, and I think you're all waiting for Jamie and get his view. So Jamie, I'm going to pass over to you, and if you want to present RIT briefly, say what you do, and then focusing on your 365 requirements and how you deploy StorageCraft and the benefit that you're getting, for yourself and your customers when it comes down to backing up and recovering, obviously, data within the 365 environment.
Yeah, sure, no problem at all, Flo. And thank you for the presentation, actually quite informative. So I'm Jamie. I've worked with our RIT since 2006. I've been with the business quite a while. And I've seen the landscape change quite a bit, like I'm sure everybody else on this presentation has as well. And actually, it's quite exciting to see what's going on. So that was actually one of the drivers behind wanting to partner with StorageCraft, because we've seen how StorageCraft has evolved and changed over the years, through from their on-premise backup stuff to transitioning through to the cloud and ultimately doing the cloud backups that they now do. So we've StorageCraft a couple of years ago because they was going on the same journey that we are, and we like what their products are. And the big thing for us is that as there's been a significant shift over the last couple of years for going from on-premise, your traditional type of setups, to cloud-based, it's actually how do you secure and protect that data? Because you've gone away from the traditional tape drive, USB drive, to more like it's in the cloud. I've got no physical hardware to access. And we were finding the grasp of actually understanding, well, actually, it's in the cloud, so I don't need to worry about it anymore. It's not my problem. It's not there. Was actually quite an obstacle to overcome in the initial discussions with them, until you start obviously identifying some of the stuff that flows them through around Microsoft policies. Yes, they'll guarantee the hardware and the underlying infrastructure that you're running your solutions from, but actually the data is still yours. It's still, you own it, you've got to look after it, it's your responsibility. And getting customers to understand that was a little bit of a challenge to start with, but as you started talking through and explaining it to them, that actually Microsoft will do best endeavours, but 9 times out of 10 they will either not be able to recover it, or if they do, it could take 30, 40 days. So we wanted to partner with someone that could give us that flexibility and that recoverability. And actually, in the last probably 6 or 8 months, it's saved our bacon a couple of times with a couple of clients that have not maliciously done something, but they've installed an app. An example of that is actually myself, a couple of days ago, I updated to the latest iOS version, and it wiped all my contacts out. Well, knowing that I could go back and pull that data back from StorageCraft was actually a godsend for me, because when you've got 500-600 contacts in your phone, it's like you've lost a limit, especially when you're dealing with a lot of customers on a day-to-day basis. What we also like about the solution is the ability to be able to give end users access to the portal so they can manage it yourself. So as an MSP, we deal with a vast array of different types of clientele, from your one-man bands up to your big enterprise class customers who've got their own internal IT department, and they just want to have someone they can back off a bit more complex to, or if they need remote hands. So being able to provide them with the service, yes, we'll back it all up for you, but actually here's your own portal. You can log in, administer it, manage it yourself, and you just come to us if you have any issues, is actually a really good plus point for them, because they know they're not beholden to ourselves to provide them support and give them that data back. If they need to get in, they can pull it down and recover it down very quickly. Also, as you transition, as you grow, you need to have the flexibility and the scope to move. The fact that you can back up Google and 365 is a very big bonus. We're seeing a little bit of a shift within our clientele, that we're probably 90-10 split now, whereas before we were probably 99 to 1% split, as in 90% now are on 365, but 10% are on Google because they like some of the benefits and the wraparound bits that Google provide. And how to have one product and one solution that covers the lot, and there's no different management to it. It's all in the same portal. You set it up in the same way. The engineers we've got here can typically set up an estate in less than an hour, getting all the permissions up and running, kicking off the initial backup and checking through that it goes through and works well. So it works for us, and that's why we do like StorageCraft, and which is why we've partnered with them. There is other products and other stuff out there that do work similar, but when we test and benchmark them, StorageCraft just, for us, gives us the whole wraparound that we need, and we've got faith in it that the solution does actually work. So over the next, I think it's 12 months, we expect the data usage for not just for 365, but for cloud as a whole to double, if not triple, over where we are. And if my memory serves me correctly, 50% of the global data that is out there has only been generated in the last 2 years. So that shows you the type of shift in the industry and what actual customers and clients are wanting from their systems. They're not wanting the more traditional on-premise stuff. They're wanting the cloud and the flexibility. And as MSP, as partners, you need to be able to have that ability to recover that and give your customer the peace of mind that actually, I know my data's safe. I can sleep at night, and that for us is key to us, is critical to us. So anybody that's obviously looking or are not quite sure what to do, I would certainly suggest you look into this in a lot more detail and actually work out, well, okay, we've got all this data sitting here, whether it's in Google or in 365, but if it goes down and if I lose that access, what is that actually going to cost us as a business, and what impact is that going to have? And some people, I think, will actually be quite horrified into the actual impact that it could have on you. So if you're down for a couple of hours, you're not able to respond to emails, you're not able to work, if you're leveraging like SharePoint or Teams, you're going to lose a lot of collaborative access. So making sure you've got that data secure, so at least you can work offline to keep yourself ticking, is key and paramount. So that's short and sweet, but that's really what I wanted to cover. So I'm hoping that what I've gone through has been useful for you, but more so I'm hoping what Flo's actually gone through and explained to you has been useful and informative for you. Obviously, if you do have any questions, I can see there's not been any luck, which is absolutely great. We've answered everything. Please obviously let Flo know or put them on here. Between us all, we'll get back to you on that. So yeah, I'm hoping that's okay for you.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. I mean, that's great. Thank you very much, because obviously you as an MSP, obviously you offer that service, and obviously you have SLAs with your customers who are deploying 365, and you're offering obviously the backup and restore. I think this is very important as well. I mean, something you said is, and whether it's actually in the cloud data or on-premise data, I mean, a lot of businesses, small, medium, or big, are obviously doing backup to some sort of shape. But then when it comes down to restoring it, sometimes, things might not be as slick as what it should be. And it's true as well for cloud data or SaaS data. And then obviously that's where you select your vendor, by all means, try all the various products, including StorageCraft. But then one thing that we can pride ourselves, and thanks, Jamie, for kind of putting the focus on that, is like the ability, the easy way of restoring, and the how fast it is as well. So now I think it's really interesting. Thanks for the kind of end user feedback. And then just to let you know, guys, I mean, Air IT and Jamie, they're actually managing more than 1,000 seats for 365 using StorageCraft. So we know the solution can go accommodate the requirements from a smaller organization up to the larger organization of this world. So and then that's from an MSP as well, where they have built the service on that specific solution. But more importantly, the fact that end user customers, especially at the SMB or the mid-sized organization, where the Microsoft knowledge might not be as where it should be, the fact that you have to, that it's not really have to, is you must back up this 365 or G Suite data is super important for all the reasons that we went through earlier on today. So I think we reached. I mean, no, I know it's not. I think I know we reached the end of the presentation. I'm going to keep the line open for any questions from the audience. We still have a bit of time, and we're quite happy to answer any questions that you might have. Please don't be shy. And obviously, having Jamie on the line, please guys, feel free to ask him any question now. Actually, Jamie, can you just spell out your email address? If some of the attendees would like to go to you directly, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to put it on the presentation, or should I put it over the...
You can actually type it as a message to the audience, if you wanted to.
Yeah, sure.
And then
no
that would be great. And then, guys, if you wanted to email StorageCraft directly, by all means, please do so. And then you can email me at florian.maleki@storagecraft.eu. Yeah, sorry, Jamie, I should have put your email address on the page as well, but never mind. Yeah,
I've just put that on as an announcement now as well.
Yeah.
So you should all have my contact details.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jamie. So I don't see any question coming up. So I think we're gonna close that presentation. So again, thank you very much for attending. I hope it's been useful. I hope you learned stuff. And then obviously, if you are using 365 or thinking of moving to G Suite or 365 SaaS applications, great. Make sure you back it up, and then make sure you call you consider StorageCraft backup products for your 365 or your G Suite deployments. On that note, again, Jamie, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for joining us this morning. It has been really super useful, and obviously, as always, a great pleasure. And well, that's going to be the last Brighter webcast of the year. So I wish you all, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Enjoy the time off in 2 weeks. Have a great time, and we'll reconvene sometime in January for a new series of StorageCraft webcasts on the Brighter channel. Without any further ado, again, thank you very much to everybody. If you have any questions, you have our email addresses, Jamie and myself, and we'll talk to you soon. Again, that presentation has been recorded, so you'll be able to access it offline. And by all means, feel free to share it with some of your colleagues who might be in charge of, data backup and recovery. Thank you very much, and speak to you soon. Jamie, have a great afternoon, and speak to you soon. Take care.
You too, Florian. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.